small class today. So what we're going to work with is instead of the typical warm-up, we'll work up some Sinawali. Because you guys are already doing it, so let's do some of that. Okay. So for a second, we'll go, well, we'll define. Just because it's a small class, just because we're doing something fun, doesn't mean I'm not going to scramble your brain. So, all right, so we're going to start with 1, heaven 6. Okay, and 2, standard 6.
Oh no. Take that campaign. We messed that up twice.
All right, you just can't hit this finger too much. I got to look at it in like a week. All right, then we go earth 6, number 3. I'm giving him numbers so that if I shout the number, that's what you change to. Okay, so. Okay, so that's 3. What was 2?
The really complex one I couldn't keep up with.
All right, and let's look at 4 is low high. Yeah, the short stick changes that.
I don't do the best from seeing, I know from feeling. Is that the same Sinawali from Jared Buhami seminar?
Oh, I don't know. Now I'd have to go back and think about that. This is just one that I've done for a long, long time. We might have done something
I
similar.
would know if I felt it. I can't tell
You talking about that 4 count?
Yes.
It's not that.
It's not that.
I mean, this is a 4 count, but it is not that. So all it is it's standard 6. 1, 2, 3, right? So let's just do standard real quick. Standard, pa. It's here. So all I'm doing is the original variations that I learned were all based on the chamber hand, the underhand, is where all of the changes happen. So here, the changes, now I hit low and I add a high, a wittick, switch, everything else stays the same, chamber hand goes low, high, okay? Now that was number 4? So we go 5, double. Okay, so double hit. And so this is chamber hand again, ba. Okay.
That's a cool beat.
It is a cool beat. My favorite beat is number 4 because it reminds me of the Christopher Nolan Batman's, like, because you get that like, bum, bum, bum. Yeah, and number 6. Número 6. Okay, what was 3?
3 was
Earth 6. There you go.
We're gonna have to do what music refers to as retard.
Okay, so this is not a chamber hand change. This is what we can call forehand, backhand, forehand, or everything from the right and everything to the left. So we come.
again.
I told you I'd scramble your brains. All right.
See that again without the camera.
Yeah, it's not too bad. You're just going to come. So if I think angle 1, I go angle 1, angle 1, angle 1. Then angle 2, angle 2, angle 2. So it adds a payong to get it back. So this one that would normally have to come back is payong to the same side so that it can deliver from the same side. Okay? Number 7. Last one.
Okay, I was saying, I'm gonna ask how many we get.
Okay? Same, but we'll call it standard or low. Okay? So we're going to come here. We're going to come 1, 2, and 3. Okay? 1, 2, and 3.
No.
That'd be number 8 if we did one. All right, let's play with it, huh?
This is a payong and a sombrata. Is that because I thought we called that a sombrata?
Well, sombrata is an exchange.
Okay.
We do payong in sombrata.
Okay.
But so you're used to it because in Tula sombrata, she hits and I come.
Okay.
right? We do this action. But this action is called the payong or the umbrella.
Umbrella, okay, I thought the sombrada meant though, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, sombrada is just an exchange. So when we do anything that goes give and take back and forth is a sombrada.
Okay, thank you.
And it's kind of that, it becomes the freestyle sparring prior to just straight sparring. Sombrada is that. All right. Okay, so talking about the double tap drill and just a way to kind of give a little extra advice to it is if you approach it kind of monotone where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It will be really difficult. You start losing track of what hand's doing what. So look for the rhythm. Okay, so make those different so that you can find it. Okay, all right.
We shouldn't be trying to do a good strike. We should just be doing kind of a retake type strike.
Bingo.
All right.
Well, in a minute, we're gonna wrap this a bit, but we'll be going through application also, because I believe these drills are useless if you don't know what to do with them. I mean, sometimes they have a usefulness of just coordination and forcing you to not be locked in patterns. You know, when you do it like this in the way that we're going to do it, which you don't know about yet, then it's to force you out of the box. But the drill itself, the motions come from somewhere, and we'll look at that in there. All right, talking about the payong variation, right, which is forehand, backhand, forehand is the drill. I say it in that way because that was the way that when Shane and I did that seminar with Inosanto, that was one of the things he did. We went through a lot of variations of Sinawali, and he broke them into forehand and backhand, high and low, okay, right and left. So there were some 300 some variations that it just mathed out. It was nuts. But so for this, because I'm just going to give you another way to play with starting it. It's not how you're going to do it, but it's how you're going to start it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here with this hand right here, and I'm just going to fire this hand. Okay? So we're going to come 1, 2, 3, 4. And just get used to this is the motion. Okay? Drop that hand low. Good. Ooh. Because then you're just going to break the beat. Here's my beat. I'm going to come on the half beat. Huh? Okay. So just breaking that beat. Most of these you can kind of start off with 2/3 of the drill and then add that third to break it up. So then once you have that, then you just make sure that you start using this hand
Oh
separately.
no. We have
I
two
broke
sides.
you. Like, wait, I can go both ways. Okay, so play with that. That's all.
Can I make one comment?
Yeah.
Also think that as you're doing the umbrella, you are also hitting the low strike at the same time. You're not doing the umbrella and then hitting. So these happen simultaneously. That's why.
Beautiful advice.
That is why I seemed so fast.
Ah, because you're only actually making 2 motions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got this motion, right? Instead of ba, ba. Yeah. Bingo. Good advice. Let's give it a shot. Okay. So we continue. So now what you have been doing is building your base programming. Okay?
I got some holes in my code.
So we're going to work in sets of 3. Okay? So for example, we'll start easy, like 1 3 1. Okay?
Like I remember what those are.
So heaven, earth, heaven, earth, heaven.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go. It goes right and left. So we've got a set of 6, because these are both 3 count drills. So we do a set of each. So we go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1, Then it's 1, 3, 1, so it doubles back at 1.
I do remember doing this.
Okay, makes sense.
No.
So,
So you're gonna
number.
So 1, 4, 1. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just pick a number. Give me a number.
4.
4. Okay, remember 4?
That was the one we were just doing.
No.
Okay.
Okay,
We did
number.
that.
2. Okay, standard 6. Okay, number.
3.
3, earth 6. Okay, so we got a 4 count and 2 3 counts. Okay. Okay, you ready? So we've got 4. And then we went to, yours was 3, so we're earth 6.
This was 2.
Or 2? 2, standard 6. Standard. Okay, that's the beginning of, now we go earth 6. Now we start back to 4. Makes sense. Then we go standard.
Is that 4 though? Because you're not doing a double tap.
4, 5 was a double tap. 4 was the witik.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so we go 4, right? So 4, boom, low, high,
Okay. Alright.
low, high, boom, boom, low, high, boom. Now we go, boom, standard.
Oh dear.
There's not
Oh,
that.
yeah, not
Then this, then. Now we're back to this. So you got to keep track of it. I told you I was going to make it harder. And here we are. Awesome. All right, so I'll be giving sets. So at the beginning of each round, I'm going to get the round timer going, and then at the beginning of each round, well, actually, as the beginning of each cooldown, I will give you what the next set is. So while you're grabbing a drink or doing whatever, you can be thinking, what's the next set? And then we'll run 3 minutes of that set. Here we go. All right, so what you just did is the follow to that. We're not going to do it today. I scrambled enough. You guys have been going for a while. Is you actually take turns calling the next number. So while you're going, someone's like, all right, 4, and you switch. And you keep going. And I like to start thinking of it as an unstoppable drill. You know, you're building the ability to be unstoppable is what's happening. You're learning to flow and change and deal with what's happening, but also never stop moving yourself. Right? You're constantly going. So Segunda will work. So we'll look at some of the application of this here. Perhaps. Nah, I should probably hear. No, I mean, just kidding. So looking at, I'm going to run through these. In the interest of time, I'm going to run through all of them and let you guys work them on your own so you can explore them and find what you like. Things that you've done a lot, maybe you spend less time on that and more time on things that you feel less comfortable with. We are going to break its usefulness for the sake of learning, and then you'll see naturally how this applies. So we're just going to work off of an angle 1 strike. So every time, angle 1. Nice and simple. Yeah, you can have 2 sticks, but she's like, I don't need this anymore. So looking at this here, I'm going to start. I've talked about in Sinawali how I like to start here versus here, right? A lot of Sinawalis kind of want to start here. I don't like that for a lot of reasons because people start getting in the habit of not only doing this, but they start to get in the habit of doing this. When they set this up and they kind of relax this, and they're just building the habit of locking this arm in place, which is a terrible thing to do, right?
Gotta do something.
So I don't want that. But the other thing is it implies the middle. So I like to start from here because it implies the beginning. Okay, so here being either a guarded position, but to get from here to here, I look at that as being a functional movement. She strikes 1 and I come here. Okay, so there's my parry, and that begins my sequence. Okay, so that's heaven 6. We'll look at heaven 6. Okay, we look at standard 6 here. Okay, splinter.
So many.
It's all good. Okay, so standard 6. High, we hit low, we hit high again. Okay, Then we go into earth 6. Right? Then we went into low high. So I come in, I hit low, I hit high, I hit high. Right? This can also be the beginning of a countering relationship, whereas I come in here and I hit low, she begins to hit here, and that instead of a second hit becomes passing to allow the next hit. Right? All of these things work this way. Every strike that you throw should have the ability to parry or absorb something else that's happening. Right? So if I look at Heaven 6, getting off track. But if I look at Heaven 6, my next move is this, right? So I could, if she's throwing quickly, a 1 and a 2 with the other hand, then I just continue and I use this instead as a parry. Does that make sense? So never get so locked into these are always hits. If it needs to be a parry, make it a parry. And then continue to hit. Okay, so now we go into the double hit, right? So I come hit, I've got this. Now that doesn't look like much, right? Doesn't mean I have to hit the same place twice. Okay, so I can add a feeling of here's this hit and this hit, right? This can also be managing if something is happening, hit, I hit, and as she retracts, then I hit, right? So that first hit, creating the contact, they continue, expecting that the next thing should come from somewhere else, and instead it comes from the same place, which is just a thing that doesn't happen too frequently, right? We don't send the same thing from the same place twice often. But when we do, it's always unexpected, right? And then we've got, of course, hitting here, which works I like it okay for this, right? I'm hitting and I'm just continuing. But what I really like it for is that following. So if we look at 1, 2, so I pass, I hit, I hit. So we go pass, hit, and hit. It's kind of the ways that these can be utilized, right? I mean, then extrapolate that. I mean, use your own understanding, your own exploration to realize that this was a very small subset of the principles that are at work that can be expanded into many different expressions is the word that I like. Expressions of the principle, right? Simple, first thing to get your head thinking a completely different way is what if my Heaven 6 was low? People's first thought is that these hits are for the lower body, these hits are for the upper body. No, it's just do I have a dropping angle or a rising angle, right? My dropping angles can happen low too, right? So start to expand the idea that it doesn't really matter what, and start to break this idea. So we're doing all of this to just break the habits and the preconceived notions of what's happening, because all of this should be able to apply anytime. And then at any moment, to further express this, we'll go slow. So just feeding, hitting when you want to hit, and just feed through, okay? So I work and I'm hitting. Yeah, you like that? And this is why I call it the unstoppable drill, because I just never stop, right? Whatever happens, if I get interrupted, I deal with it and I continue. If she doesn't do anything, I could just continue and continue and continue, right? We're ignoring the law for a minute. It's very unreasonable. But as I continue, right, it's just recognizing that what other people do should not stop you. It's being able to process and make decisions on the fly and recalibrate, right? We just work these drills where you're working the drill and you're having to decide, crap, what was the next drill? What you're really doing is practicing processing and acting on information while not giving up the thing that you're doing. Because what we often do is we go, okay, all right, I've got 1, we'll do 1. Number 1.
We're doing number 1.
And then, okay, wait, let's see, 4 was next. So 4 is, I don't want to think about that. I want to be thinking, okay, what's 4? Okay, now I remember that 4 was this, and I've got to be able to think and process, so it allows me to separate my thinking process from my acting process so that I can try to stay ahead. If I have to create a gap to think in between my actions, then my actions become slow. And there becomes interruption points that are not so good for me because I can't just imply that somebody else is going to respect the pause. I need to be able to make an adjustment, right? But we do it all the time. I mean, I think of driving as a very often example. Driving, something happens, you're processing, you're making choices, you're making changes, and you've got to be acting. You can't be like, stop the car, wait, figure it out, and then go. You're going, wait, crap, no, I need to turn, I need to move, I need to swerve, I need to, and you're making those adjustments while, during, right? Your fighting should be no different. You should be able to make those adjustments actively. While finishing one thing, you should be compensating and adjusting for whatever you need to do next. If something interrupts that, you should be able to switch into that thing seamlessly, right? If you have to stop, it's not bad. It just means that our training's not there yet, because that's where we need to be. The skill is to be unstoppable, to flow. So let's play. All right.